All right, Mornin Ramblins. Retard circus. Oh. Oh yeah, by the way. There she is. Yeah. She's almost done. That right there is a sword. It's also known as a gentleman's short sword. Anyways, yeah, I digress because I wanted to show you something. But you know, let's get into it because apparently the trolls will never stop. Oh, good Lord, this is so much fun. Hey, Amy Garcia. Hi, hun. Guess what? That video that you commented on, that video is 8 years old. Is this that tire? No. It was 8 years ago. When I lived down in Blythe, California. I've since moved away from there. And it just so happens that at the time I was in my early 30s. Early. Now I'm in my late 30s. And it's kind of wonderful to see how people react to how other people were. You know, because things have changed. Subtly, but they have changed. For instance, I'm no fucking right-winger. I'm no left-winger. And funny enough, I'm not a Trumplican anymore. Let that blow your mind for a second. Back then, I was sitting there and talking about how Trump wasn't exactly on our side. You know, about the whole bump stock ban thing and whatnot. You see, I am 100% staunch American. In a sense to where that flag that you seen draped over my shoulder, the flag that you see in the background of the video, still have them. Matter of fact, it's sitting right over there. I'll show you that. Amazing, isn't it? No longer in the trailer. Don't have the Pontiac anymore. Trailer's sitting out front of the house right here. You know, 2,000 miles away from where that video was actually shot. But yeah, whatever. You know, places have changed, people have changed, I've changed. But yeah, you're going to go out there and you're going to talk shit about a video that is fucking years old and is not even pertinent anymore. You know, this is what I love about op-eds and stuff like that is that it's only pertinent for the time that it's being talked about. It's no longer relevant. Some of those things may still be relevant, but for the vast majority, most of it isn't. It's kind of like, I don't know, yesterday when I said, or no, not yesterday. Pardon me. I had dinner about an hour ago. And for those of you who are just waking up, I'm sorry. I work nights. Fuck your esteem. Anyways, to our newly arrived guest, Miss Amy something or other. I really don't care. This is why I like the handle Guardsman on. It's one of those, it's impersonal, so people can feel like that they can actually just talk shit and, you know, Funny enough, that's the part of the guardsman on persona that I enjoy is that you could talk shit to me and I'm just going to come right back at you with it. So I'm about to lay this down on her for those of you who have not been paying attention. Miss Amy Garcia is an individual who seems to think that the manosphere is the problem, which tells me a lot about her. Whether or not she's actually actively on that team or not, she has very heavy set feminist ideals. Whether or not she's on that team, she's already pointed out that she is wholesomely for feminism because of the verbiage she utilizes. Not because I think for a second that the manosphere is any kind of great thing. Let's be clear. I'm a dude who is a Minuteman. Has been a Minuteman since he was 18 years old. Busted his ass for years in the desert. Right up until the point where it became fucking headline bullshit and then moved away from there because my job was done. See, that's how that works. My job is to be where the cameras aren't, where people aren't, doing the things that people aren't. Your job, apparently, is to go and complain about people who are doing the things that you wouldn't do if you were given the last opportunity in your life to do it. You'd rather go out there and talk shit about people. Hate on them for just existing. For saying, hey, you need to do this. Because this is righteous. This is what our founding fathers said needed to be done. I mean, but who am I to judge? I'm the guy who moved to Vernonia in Oregon to get away from psychopaths like this. I'm the guy who moved out of Los Angeles, California, because I was sick and tired of not being able to carry around my gun. Because, let's face it, Los Angeles, California is one of the most dangerous places on the fucking planet, specifically because you can't carry a gun legally. And being a Minuteman, I have to kind of follow the law. Anyways. So, Miss Garcia, I guess your name is. You've now got my attention. Congratulations. Golf clap. Not sure you wanted this attention, but you've got it now. You see, people like me who are empathetic to others listen when people talk. We're not just the talking heads on the internets. You know, like a lot of the people out there that I'm sure you idolize. I mean, Ayn Rand ring a bell? But anyways, I digress. You know, there's a lot of people out there that seem to think that people like Andrew Tate are disgusting human beings. For instance, kinda, yeah. He's so sucked up in himself that he's incapable of seeing past his own ego. This is where me and Andrew Tate actually diverge. I'm all about masculinity. I'm all about being a man. I'm all about being a woman who is what a man wants to be in existence for. I'm all about you being the ideal woman. Because believe it or don't, that's why I'm still single. Look at where I live. I'm not that far from Portland, Oregon. Most of the women up here are a little weird. For somebody who's like me, who's, I won't say conservative, because that's a little bit too far. I won't say liberal, because I'm sorry, but I'm just, no. And I won't say libertarian, because let's be clear, I believe in doing malicious service from the age of 18 to 65, as every American should, as it was written down in the United States Constitution. I'm what I and many others call a constitutionalist. Somebody who not only believes in the Constitution itself, the way it was written, not the way that it's been rewritten, but the way it was written, and the Bill of Rights, the way it was written, not the way it has been rewritten, but the way it was written. I don't believe in the bastardization of our government. As a matter of fact, I believe that our government should be extremely small. To the point where if they need military force, they actually have to turn around to the civilian public and say, we need you to grab your guns and your ammunition and provide yourselves for muster. Not, well, we're sending the Marine Corps and the Army and the Navy and the Air Force to this particular location far the fuck away from our home. You guys really are just fucking lost little kids, and it's kind of scary to watch. Because unlike me, you guys actually have the power to make this shit happen or not. Me, I have to follow whatever the fuck goes on. I am literally Mr. Yes, sir, 3 bags full, sir. What would you like, sir? How may I give it to you, sir? How high must I jump, sir? Sort of shit, so long as it's following the Constitution. You have no idea how many times I've actually taken orders from superiors who didn't even consider themselves as superiors. But because they were of a higher rank, specifically whatever group they worked with than I was, I still had to follow that. This is what being a Minuteman is all about. You are the individual quick to muster. That doesn't mean you don't follow orders. That doesn't mean that you don't have somebody that you have to answer to. That just means that you have a little bit more fucking autonomy, because the reality of the situation is you are the first guy there. That's the job. So when it comes down to, is this satire? God, I hope you are just acting stupid. Because if this is satire, lady, then whatever the fuck you are doing is a comedy fest. It is an absolute laughing stock. Because if this of what I have done with my life is satire, then the country that I belong to as a citizen, as an American, that I'm pretty sure you're part of, doesn't exist. In other words, you have every right to say what you're saying, certainly. Doesn't mean that everybody's going to look at you like you're some sort of brilliant human being and awesome and amazing in all ways, and you're just taken care of, and oh, you're so good and I'm so evil. Clutch your pearls harder, Granny. Because I'm going to point something out to you. The rule of the hour is, when you say something, you shouldn't be attacking people, especially not on the Guardsman Om channel. But if you choose to, understand you are going to be responded to. You might not like what you get told or what you hear. As a matter of fact, you're probably not going to like the way that it's told to you most often. Because I'm going to speak to you as if I'm your dad. Because the reality of it is, this is how my dad would have talked to me about it. How do you not have the maturity to understand what your place in this world is? Why do you waste so much of your potential running around on the internet trying to find something to be outraged at? Why not leave that to the professionals? Food for thought. You know, it's years of this that have actually gotten me to the point where I just say what I'm going to say and I kind of brush it off otherwise. Most of the time. Sometimes when people say some stupid shit like, oh, well, you said news AI because you're writing because you did not like fucking J.R.R. Martin and all that. Guess what, genius? J.R.R. Martin, that motherfucker has been writing the same book for the past fucking 20 years. And he's stuck on it. And if he just would open up AI, sit there and have a conversation, like yours truly does, just have a conversation, he might be able to move past his block. But because he listens to you critical little assholes, he is stagnating. There's another one. Tolkien. The man was before computers. But he actually had a whole writing group. They called themselves the Inklings. Imagine that. Dude had somebody to have a conversation with. What have I had? Nobody. So I use AI because it's all that I've got. Who am I going to have a conversation with that's actually going to sit here and talk to me about what I'm writing? Bounce ideas off of me like, hey, wouldn't this be a good idea? Or would that be a good idea? Or how do you think that this would go? What's the concept of how this works? Why is this the way that it is? How does this work in that universe? You know, things like that for as far as, you know, fantasy writing is concerned. Or, for instance, other types of writing. You see, I do a lot of writing in my free spare time because I've got a lot of it. Lately, my job, funny as it may seem, is I am a private property security guard. This is my mom's house. She does not live here. She still lives down in Los Angeles, where she likes the weather. She owns this as a vacation home. She comes up here maybe once or twice a year. All the rest of the time, I'm here making sure nobody's breaking in and stealing shit. For my entertainment, I have a dog, I have a forge where I make swords, and I have chickens. Sometimes I go fishing. Sometimes I go hunting. You know, basic guy things. Normal things for a guy to do. Because, I don't know if you noticed this, biological man, always have been, was born with a twig and berries. So, and I'm straight as an arrow. Not interested in all that sort of stuff, you know? Which makes the conservatives think that I'm uber conservative. Funny story about that. My dad's brother is flamboyant as hell, but he's straight. My mom's brother is gay as hell, but he's conservative. My sister is bisexual. And yet she is tomboy as all get out. Like, these things would blow your mind to know are factual and real. And yet, you try to put me in a neat little box because it makes you feel better about yourself. It makes you feel like, oh, well, he's not normal. He's not a real human being. I can sit there and I can attack him all I want. Well, Amy, are you missing our little meme fights? Is that what this is about? Are you missing me over on Reddit going and meme fighting you and enjoying a little bit of back and forth with you because you've got nothing better to do? If that's the case, I'm sorry, hun. I moved away from doing all of that because I've got other things that I am doing. But if you are that hard up for a meme fight, by all means, I will meme fight you all day long. Have fun at it. Sure thing. That's what you want. I mean, that's where I recognize the name from. So if that's what you want to do, just tell me. I mean, it's not like I'm going to go and say no. Really? I'm going to say no to having a meme fight with you. For what? It's fun to throw shit at each other. I mean, come on. It's what you're doing here on the interwebs. It's what you're doing on my channel. Is throwing shit at me like, this is going to be satire. No. No, it's really not. It was a matter of me trying to point out the discrepancy within the United States and how we've fallen so far. But what can I say? You know, the modern mentality in this country is the reason why we've gone so far down the drain, rather than holding on to those fundamental values that made us a great nation in the first place, that made us a free people in the first place. That willingness to fight for it. You see, this is something I've been trying the whole time to embody, is that willingness to fight for whatever, you know, for what I think is, for me, I'm trying to fight for what I think is morally correct. As anyone should. So if you think I'm immoral, if you think I'm incorrect, then you should be fighting for it, damn it. But here's the rub. You're not fighting for what you think is morally correct. You're fighting against what you think of as is a threat to you and your personal political stance. There's a difference there. You see, I was out there going and chasing down wildfires. I was hunting down poachers. I was doing patrols in the middle of the desert at night, making sure that cartel drug runners and drug smugglers and people traffickers weren't running people and drugs up the Colorado River. That's what I was doing down there in Blythe. Now that I'm up here, I don't have all of that to have to do. I have a little bit more freedom, a little bit more leeway to move around and do the things I want to do. It's not much. Trust me now, believe me later, it's not much. What I want to do versus what I'm sitting here having to do, two different things. I want to go and walk off into the woods and go and live out in the trees and shun society completely. Go live off of deer meat in the woods. That's what I want to do. But I can't do that. I have prior obligations. It's called being an adult. It's something you might want to try and do. I don't know. That little bit of time of growing up, changing your profile picture to more closely reflect your age rather than your shoe size or what you looked like when you were pretty. I'm joking, of course. I don't know. I spent enough time looking at your channel just to figure out, hey, this person's sitting here talking on all of my videos from way the fuck back when that I haven't looked at in years because they're no longer pertinent. They're just sitting there. If that's your introduction to me, that's great. You get to get a little bit of a background understanding of how I might be so batshit crazy, but hey, that's awesome. Still, it's a persona. It's a forced personality. It is a side of my person that I push out there and project for other people to see. Kind of how like you do when you go and you dye your hair green and you go run around with a sign and your tits hanging out. That's your persona. You as a person might be entirely different. Wear nice, appropriate dresses. Go to family functions and act like an actual human being. Have a conservative tongue when you're around your grandmother. Things like that. Funny enough, I actually personally don't. It's one of the reasons I don't spend a lot of time with my grandma and my grandpa, because I cuss like a sailor and it's really hard for me to hold that back. Especially when I'm talking to my grandpa, because that fucker, he tries to piss me off. He actively tries, and he will tell you himself, he actively tries to piss me off. Just because it's fun for him. It's entertainment for him. When you get up there in age, it's entertaining to some people to actually sit there and piss you off. Why? Because if they can get a rise out of you, that means they still got it, Dad. But anyways, I digress. I was just simply pointing out to you, don't get your sweet little head in a puss, because the reality of it is, the whole manosphere thing, Andrew Tate and all that, I think that Tate is a tit. I think he's an idiot. And he's gotten too far, crammed up his own ass. He smelled too much of his own nut sweets, if you know what I mean. He doesn't have the gumption to be an actual man. See, there's a difference between somebody who is a mature adult individual and a manosphere man. There are differences. Mature adult individual, you're going to see them speak logic and reason wherever the fuck it is. Doesn't matter where, doesn't matter when, doesn't matter why, doesn't matter how, doesn't matter to whom. They're going to speak logic and reason. Unless, of course, they're trying to impress somebody, because that's just how that they do it. But, I'm speaking myself in the third person here. Because the reality of it is that every now and then I do try to impress people just because I think it's funny. Sometimes I like to see people sit there and go, wait a minute. Is he pulling my leg? That's the whole fucking funny thing about it. It's like, I have a sense of humor. I'm empathetic towards people. I also recognize a lot of things that people who have a very narrow view of the world may not recognize. Like yourself, Amy. Your very narrow view of the world is that all men are evil. And so you have to hate them. Wouldn't it surprise you to find out I have 2 sisters. Wouldn't it surprise you to find out that my dad has been dead for fucking 5 years now? Sorry. 7 years now. It's 2026. My bad. Wouldn't it surprise you to find out I have a dog? Didn't have one in Blythe. Neighbors had dogs. Hell, the neighbors hated my guts because I was always having to run people off of the fucking property at fucking midnight. That was my job. Now I have a dog. He does that for me. He runs people off at midnight. Sometimes I have to come out swinging around a gun. It's just part of the job description. So most of the time I don't, because that's how my dog is. He's a big old war dog. Houdini's an awesome animal, and I love him to death. He's my boy. So before you get your feelings in a twist, you get that all wadded up and crammed up in there, you might want to think about this for a second. I've been around feminists. I've been around man-haters. I've been around manipulators. And I've been around queens my whole life. I've also been around real men. Not fucking manosphere men. Real men. And the difference is stark. Real men do everything in their power that even after divorce, after child custody has been taken away from them, when their children turn 18 and they come looking for them, they're there. That's the way my dad was. My dad was like, yeah, son, I love you. I don't care that, me and your mom had issues. I still love her. That's how this works. It's how it's supposed to work. This is why I don't like feminism. Because it drags apart families like mine. My dad became a freaking raging alcoholic. Because, funny enough, my mom was his world. She meant everything to him. She was his escape from losing his dad to the very same problem. The same problem I lost him to. When my mom left my dad, he went and crawled into a bottle because he had no other way to get away from his pain. He just didn't know how. Then he met my stepmom and he fell in love again. Had a wonderful life with her. And when she died, he crawled back into the bottle. Because again, those were his outlets. That's all he knew. I know a little bit more. I don't just crawl into a bottle. Sure, I crawl into a bottle every now and then because, I like the taste of beer. What? I'm a guy. Of course, I like a little more floral, kind of a piney beer, but that's me, that's my own personal taste. Wouldn't it blow your mind, Miss Feminista, to find out I drink IPAs? Not very manosphere of me, is it? I should be drinking lagers, or how shouldn't I? There's a little bit of actual ha-ha comedy for you. Because the reality of this is, I have never in my life laughed so hard as when I saw your comment. I was like, oh my God, This woman actually thinks that I'm one of those fucking stupid motherfuckers. That I only think that manly men must be, and that there's no such thing as gay men. There's no such thing as tomboys. There's no such thing as flamboyant men. There's no such thing as men like me. Goofy. You know? Weird. Wolf-like. I mean, come on. It's kind of fucking declaratively obvious. But since I had to walk you through this, how do you feel now? You still hate me so much that you've got to sit there and be like, oh, I hate you, I'm going to go and tear you down, and you don't deserve to be this way, and you feel so high and mighty that you've got to tear somebody down who's only got 300 subscribers and only gets about 3 to 5 views per video. Well done. Good Lord, well done. You make me giggle. I am going to laugh my ass off at you the entire day now. Especially when I go and I grab me some doobies, because I need to go re-up my medicine. Lo and behold. Otherwise, I'll be doing standing up crunches. Everybody who knows me knows what that means. For you, Amy, since you don't know what that means, I'm going to point it out to you. I'm a victim of violent crimes. When I was about 25 years old, a feller barged into my brother's house where I was awaiting my appointment the next day, basically. Basically, because it was about 3 days before Christmas, so I was waiting till after Christmas to go into MEPS. You know, the military entrance program. That fell through because I got stabbed by a home invader because I lived in California where you cannot have a firearm. Or at least where back then it was goddamn near impossible for you to fucking get one. So, yeah. I have half a face, actually half a fucking skull. This eye is lazy because it is floating in that freaking orbital socket. I have a 36-inch suture that runs from the apex of my solar plexus down to about my nutsack, where they pulled my guts out and put it on either side of me on the operating table while I was still awake to watch. While they sucked the blood from out of my intestines area in order to run it through a dialysis machine and put it back into my body. While the surgeon sat there and stitched up the hole that was made by my knife that was taken off of me by the home invader and then used on me. And before you say, well, that's why you shouldn't be carrying knives or guns or this or that. The reason I had a knife was because I couldn't have a gun because the state of California wouldn't allow you to have a gun because it was considered to be with intent to do deadly harm to others, regardless of your defensive stance. So, since I could not have a firearm because the state of California were a bunch of pansy asses who would only allow somebody who has a concealed carry permit to have a firearm, and at the time there was only 4 concealed carry permits within the entire city that I still had my residency address at. I couldn't get a firearm, so I couldn't protect myself. So instead, I had to carry a knife, which I still do. I carry a lot of knives just because I use them for utilitarian purposes. It's why I've always carried a knife. It's not for defense, ever. As a matter of fact, I abhor knives for defense. I think they're stupid. I make swords because I like the athleticism in swordplay. I like the athleticism in blacksmithing. That's why I make swords. It has nothing to do with using it for defensive purposes whatsoever. I just like making combat blades. It's one of my tisms. You'll notice a bar of steel with a distal taper, a perfect bevel grind to that square bar. Following those lines, doing it all by hand. A hand-wrapped handle. Not as easy to see it, but that's hand wrapping with a corkscrew braid around the outside, which I've not seen any tutorials on how to do this. I just did it myself because I know how to tie knots. You know, it's things like this that I'm telling you. I'm telling you this because I'm trying to relate to you why I have a particular stance on things. And why back then, those videos you were watching, I was a little more scrambled than I am now. Don't get me wrong, I'm still just as scattered as buckshot. But the difference is that I recognize it, so I try to work past it. And the fact that I'm sitting here talking to you, Amy, I want to point this out to you. There's a reason behind me pointing all of this at you. It's so that I can stay on track and stay focused. Because you brought this up. You chose to go make it a situation where I have to respond. So I'm going to make it very abundantly clear for you. No, none of that was satire. That was me documenting my life at the time. It was a shit show. A lot of the things that I went through, I didn't put on camera because it was some things that I wouldn't want to actually relate to people. Or things that would threaten my family if I told about them. Which is precisely why they didn't show up on those videos. Vlogs, whatever. The whole point I'm trying to make here is that when you watch somebody else's videos and you come in there with a particular bias and hatred towards an individual, the only thing that you do when you comment is that you are showing your ass. Now, it might be a beautiful ass. It might be unmatched, unparalleled butt cheeks, I'm telling you. But in the grand scheme of shit, everybody's got a set. Honest to God, once you've seen one, they're not all that impressive. Just saying. If you ever meet me in real life, you'll notice my eyes don't go down here. My eyes don't go down here. My eyes stay right about here. It'll let you know what I'm actually interested in. So anyways, now that I'm done sitting here talking to you as if you are a child, because that's how you were acting. Now that I'm done being my dad, have you learned anything? The one question my dad asked me on his deathbed. Perhaps it was for you, not for me.